Good evening, and welcome to our National Honor Society induction and stoling ceremony this evening. Before we begin, I would just like to remind everybody that masks must be worn when coming in or leaving the field. While you are seated with your families, you can take your mask off. But again, when you are not able to be socially distant from anyone who is not within your family or within your pod, we ask that you have your mask on, please. Without further ado, we'll get our ceremony started. So thank you. Can everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hello everyone, my name is Molly Lodge and I am the president of Woodstown High School's chapter of the National Honor Society. Thank you for coming out this evening to help us celebrate our stoling and induction ceremony. Please let me introduce our advisors, Mr. Joseph O'Brien and Mr. Kieran Kaiser.
Welcome to our annual installation ceremony. Thank you for taking time to honor our students. It is a privilege to witness their dedication and commitment throughout the year. To be a member of the National Honor Society, a student must meet and maintain several expectations in academics, extracurricular activities, character, and service to the community. Even throughout the additional challenges presented to these students throughout the last 2 school years, they continue to meet the highest expectations that the National Honor Society has always set. These students are being stoled and inducted into the National Honor Society because they hold themselves to the highest of standards and lead in a way that demonstrates integrity, character, and hard work. For these students, it is ingrained in them to constantly search for ways to make a meaningful impact or provide help to those in need. Whether it is volunteering their time, tutoring a younger peer, or just being there for a friend, our National Honor Society members are always ready with generosity in their actions and deeds. It is our honor to congratulate them on this special accomplishment. Our officers will now provide a brief description of some of the principles of NHS.
Being a member in this society is recognized as one of the highest honors that can be bestowed upon a high school student at the national level. The emblem of this society is the keystone and the flaming torch. The letters at the bottom of the keystone represent the 4 main principles of this organization: character, scholarship, leadership, and service. These building blocks are crucial to a well-rounded education, and each member here today represents the embodiment of these principles. My fellow officers will be assisting with the ceremony this evening.
The most meaningful portion of the ceremony is the stoling of the senior members by the teachers who have touched their lives. This practice bestows upon the senior a distinguishing symbol of the National Honor Society that they will proudly display on graduation day. This also gives the senior members a moment to recognize and thank the teacher who has had an immeasurable effect on their lives. We will now begin the senior stoling ceremony.
So just a brief description of what we're doing. First row, alphabetically here. I'll call the student's name, they will start walking. The teacher will follow up on this side. So first we have Sydney Adams. Sydney has chosen Mrs. Davis to stole her this evening. Sydney had Mrs. Davis for honors freakout and was always very patient and helped her try to understand everything. Even during the pandemic, Mrs. Davis was doing everything she possibly could to make sure that her students still understood the context. Mrs. Davis retired this year, and Sydney misses seeing her around the school, but the life lessons, math lessons, and definitely the tears shed over trying to figure out the unit circle will remain with Sydney forever. Sydney Adams and Mrs. Davis. Next we have Gigi Belisario. Gigi has chosen Mrs. Porter because she is an all-around incredible woman. Before COVID, she would offer Gigi snacks in class and would always chit-chat with her and the girls. Mrs. Porter has a kind smile and a warm heart that can make anyone's day better. Gigi Belisario and Mrs. Porter. Next we have Sophie Vicennio. Sophie has chosen Mrs. Foyle to stole her because she was the first teacher she ever had at Woodstown. Her class was such a warm welcome to the crazy world of high school. In Sophie's words, Miss Foyle is such a devoted, generous, and compassionate teacher and allowed students to learn and complete projects in ways that made learning enjoyable. Having had Miss Foyle is one of the highlights of Sophie's high school career, and many of her fondest memories come from Miss Foyle's class. Sophie Vicennio and Miss Foyle. Next we have Anthony Brock. Anthony has chosen Mr. Wickhart to stole him because his class was one of his favorites at Woodstown High School. Mr. Wickhart would always give students class time to work on their assignments and was always there to lend a helping hand. Unfortunately, with the pandemic last year, Anthony did not get the full experience of his class, but Anthony enjoyed every second of physics and would not have loved it as much without Mr. Wickhart and his great sense of humor. Anthony Brock and Mr. Wickhart. Next we have Rayanne Calciano. Rayanne chose Miss Whitmore to stole her tonight. She has not only been a great coach, but an outstanding friend in person. Miss Whitmore makes everybody feel loved and appreciated as a member of the girls lacrosse team. She always wants what's best for her players and does everything in her power to have their backs. Miss Whitmore is understanding, kind, and a great listener. Rayanne is grateful for all she has done for the lacrosse program, and she appreciates the kindness and positivity that Miss Whitmore brings to school every day. Rayanne and Miss Whitmore. Next we have Kylie Donaldson. Kylie has chosen Mrs. Satilli to stole her tonight. Mrs. Satilli has taught her the importance of a great work ethic. She also has taught her many great life lessons. In fact, much of their conversations turn into life lessons. She is very grateful for Mrs. Satilli and thanks her for helping her become the student and person she is today. Kylie Donaldson and Mrs. Satilli. Next we have Jake Denny. Jake has chosen Mr. Rickard to stole home this evening. Mr. Rickard has inspired Jake to work hard throughout his high school career and reach his full potential. He encouraged Jake to challenge himself with AP chemistry and to participate in the science fair even when it wasn't required. Jake will always fondly remember finally beating Mr. Rickard at chess, just as long as you don't mention those 9 other times. Jake would like to thank Mr. Rickard for making learning fun and fostering his love of science. Jake Danini and Mr. Rickard. Next we have Shannon Emmett. Since Shannon's first day, she stepped into her ag class. Miss Miller has guided Shannon to success. She has pushed Shannon out of her comfort zone, encouraged her to take advantage of every opportunity, and has led her to chase after what she is passionate about. Shannon couldn't thank Miss Miller enough for everything she has done for her, because Shannon would not be the person she is today. Shannon is honored and appreciative to have had Miss Miller stole her for this evening's ceremony. Shannon Emmett and Miss Miller. Madeline Fairfield. Maddie has chosen Mrs. Davis to stole her this evening because she is always there to help her. Although Maddie never had Miss Davis as a teacher, she would always take the time to make sure all of Maddie's questions about math were always answered. No matter what, Mrs. Davis always had a positive attitude, and Maddie is very appreciative of that. Maddie Fairfield and Mrs. Davis. Gage Foote. Gage is choosing Mr. Wickart to stole him this evening. Mr. Wickart has an air about him that makes everyone happy. His magnetic personality makes his class enjoyable and fun. Gage has learned a lot about physics in his class, but even more about life. His good attitude every day is contagious, and Gage wants to thank Mr. Wickart for everything he's done for him. Gage Foote and Mr. Wickart. Next we have Hunter Gandy. When Hunter was deciding who he would have stole him this evening, the answer was an easy one. His coach and friend for the last 4 years, Coach Hyland. Coach Hyland has been very special to Hunter. On and off the wrestling mat, Coach Hyland has always been there for Hunter as a mentor and a guide. Coach Hyland is someone Hunter often visited just to talk to and gain a perspective, not only about wrestling, but the world in general. Coach Hyland has launched Hunter to not only be a great athlete, but helped him focus on striving to be the best person possible. Coach Highland has helped Hunter in his academic ambitions, as well as choosing the right college. Without Coach Highland, Hunter would not be the person he is today. Hunter Gandy and Coach Highland. At this time, I would like to invite Mr. Senior up to the mic to continue with our senior stalling process. Next up, we have Riley Gantz. Riley chose Miss Foyle to stole her for this ceremony because she welcomed Riley into high school her freshman year and made learning English enjoyable. Riley will never forget the kindness, compassion, and positivity that she shared with all of her students. Miss Foyle will remain one of Riley's favorite teachers, and she misses not being able to see her every day. Riley Gantz and Miss Foyle. Next we have Ellie Goffny. Elodie chose Miss Massara to stole her tonight. Maz has always been someone who has helped Elodie find her confidence and strength both on and off the field. Through field hockey, basketball, and school, she was happy to have had Maz there to support her through it all. Maz has a gift to push people to be a better version of themselves, and Elodie is so thankful to have had her as a coach and friend these past 4 years. Elodie Goffny and Mr. Pratt. Next up, we have Mr. Justin Haynes. Justin chose Mr. Teamer to stole him this evening. Mr. Teamer has supported Justin from the time he was a freshman all the way until today. He has kept Justin active and helped him shape himself into the person he is today. Mr. Teamer told Justin the things he needed to hear, even if he didn't want to hear it, and proved to be a great role model, and for that, Justin is thankful. Next up this evening, we have Mr. Ben Horner. Ben has chosen Mr. Brashanti because he has encouraged him to keep doing what he loves, making movies. In the Media Center, they always talk about their favorite movies and discuss their many filmmaking stories. Ben appreciates having a teacher with whom he can share his love for film. Mr. Brashanti is always encouraging and supportive of Ben's projects, providing input, reading his scripts, and helping with editing. He is a wonderful friend, and Ben is grateful to have had the opportunity to get to know him during the past 3 years. Ben Horner and Mr. Brashanti. Next up, we have Miss Lainey Jones. Lainey chose Mrs. Althouse to stole her this evening. Starting in marching band, Lainey admired the amount of patience and dedication Mrs. Althouse put into her ensemble. Teaching a group of inexperienced kids how to read music, play their instruments, and perform was not an easy feat, but Mrs. Althouse did so successfully each and every year. In the classroom, Lainey bonded with Mrs. Althouse, regularly going to her for advice and often talking about college, family life, music, and much more. As a woman in STEM, Mrs. Althouse has taken part in inspiring Lane to go to college for biology, and eventually furthering her academic career in PA school. Lainey thanks Mrs. Althouse for always being such a positive influence in her life and will never forget their memories. Lainey Jones and Mrs. Althouse. Next we have Miss Erin Crenan. Mrs. Sorbello has always been Erin's favorite teacher, and her classes were always the best. She taught her students well by keeping her class lighthearted and entertaining. She keeps everyone's attention by telling her crazy stories about her past jobs and always making kids laugh. Erin will miss Mrs. Sorbello and her classes next year. Erin Crenan and Mrs. Sorbello. Next we have Miss Isabella Purpose. Isabella had selected Mrs. DeStefano to stole her this evening, but unfortunately Ms. DeStefano could not attend, so Mrs. Sorbello is going to be stepping in. Bella has chosen Ms. DeStefano, her graphic arts and technology and design teacher, to stole her because of the great impact she has had on her high school years. Bella is thankful to have had Ms. DeStefano as a teacher her freshman, sophomore, and senior year. During all of the busy and stressful days, Ms. DeStefano allowed Bella to have a creative outlet and just a place to laugh, be herself, and enjoy learning a new skill. Ms. DeStefano always offered her room to anyone who needed it, whether it was just for a quiet place to work or if it was just to talk. No matter what the day was like, Bella knew she had somewhere to go and a friend she knew she could talk to. Bella would like to thank Ms. DeStefano for everything she has done. Isabella Clifford, and Mr. Bella is stepping in for Ms. DeStefano. Next up, we have Miss Eva Lambertson. Ava chose Mr. Kaiser to stole her because he helped make her senior year the best it could possibly be. As her soccer coach, Mr. Kaiser constantly worked to give the team a full season while creating an environment where they could have fun and enjoy themselves. His positive attitude and mindset guided the rest of the team and impacted her greatly. Mr. Kaiser helped Ava grow as a player and person, and for that, she is thankful. Ava Lambertson and Mr. Kaiser. Next up, we have Mr. Jacob Lapp. Jacob chose Mr. Gunther to stole him this evening because he always believed in Jacob and brought out the best in him. Jacob has learned a lot from Mr. Gunther and is always appreciative of his words of encouragement and positive attitude. Jacob Lapp and Mr. Gunther. Next up, we have Miss Lillian Flaherty. The person Lillian Flaherty has chosen to honor her is Mr. Paul Kranz. Mr. Kranz has helped Lily to find her true self by guiding her into her performing art abilities, encouraging her love for literature, and helping her to see the world in a kinder way. Even though Lily's time with Mr. Kranz in her high school career was cut short, Mr. Kranz has not let 1 month pass by without checking up on Lily and making sure she had a friend to talk to. Once, Lily and Mr. Kranz were learning a finger-picked Doobie Brothers song on guitar, and Lily said, "Mr. Kranz, I just can't pluck this song out. I'm having a really hard time with it." And Mr. Kranz's response was, "That's okay. It was hard for me too at first, but I got it over time. You'll get it. You're capable of anything." Lillian Flaherty and Mr. Kranz. Next up, Mr. Jason Lacates. Jason chose Mrs. McMurray to stole him this year. The reason for this is because Mrs. McMurray has shown Jason how important it is to be kind and funny, and how even the worst situations can have some good in them. Mrs. McMurray used to take Jason to swim every day after school, and the car rides there are memories that Jason will never forget. She has made such a huge impact on Jason's life, and he truly does not know who he'd be without her. Thank you, and now I would like to invite Mrs. Vicennio to the mic to continue with our seniors' stoling ceremony.
Next up is Molly Lodge. Molly chose Mr. Kaiser to stole her tonight because he has been there for her in all aspects of life for the past 3 years. Molly has had many incredible influences during her time at Woodstown, and although Mr. Kaiser has never been her teacher, his influence as a coach has been unmatched. His ability to listen, be a mentor, and even a friend has helped her grow into the person she is today. Molly wants to thank him for everything he has done for her during her career at Woodstown, both academic and athletic. Molly Lodge and Mr. Kaiser. Shane Love. Shane Love chose Mrs. McBride because she has been an incredibly positive force in Shane's life. She has helped him process and withstand so much of what would have crushed him previously. He spoke to her for the first time in 8th grade during the darkest time in his life. The help she gave him then and ever since has been like light shining through darkness. Whenever he hits a rough patch or had a bad experience, he's known that Mrs. McBride is the one he can turn to. Even if it's just regular small talk or ranting about his new favorite thing, Mrs. McBride has been there for him, and for that, he is incredibly grateful. Shane Love and Mrs. McBride. Not attending tonight, but the next person we would be recognizing is Olivia Mistichelli. And Olivia Mistichelli chose Mrs. Adams to stole her for the National Honor Society. Olivia's freshman year at Woodstown High School, Mrs. Adams was her first period teacher. She made the transition from middle school to high school a lot easier and made every day a little bit brighter. Not only was Mrs. Adams an amazing honors biology teacher, she was able to offer sound advice to a scared freshman trying to find her way. Now as a senior, Olivia is proud to have Mrs. Adams as a role model and someone she can always reach out to. Olivia will always be thankful for the memories and smiles made in room 10. Next is Mia Aviano. Mr. Gunther has played an integral role in Mia's past years here at Woodstown High School. Mr. Gunther turned an extracurricular activity into not only a hobby, but a passion of hers. She sings as often as possible and even finds herself listening to playlists of old choir arrangements that still give her the same sense of joy as the first time she heard them. She is grateful to have the privilege of carrying this passion along with her into her future educational endeavors, and hopefully as she moves on in life in general. Abby Padlock. Abby chose Mrs. McMurray to stole her. Abby loved having Mrs. McMurray as her honors English teacher her junior year. Although at times she would assign a lot of homework, Mrs. McMurray was someone she could always look forward to seeing every day at school. She is someone who is easy to talk to, and she genuinely cares about her students. These qualities also made Abby's time working alongside Mrs. McMurray as a class officer one she will always remember. Abby Padlow and Mrs. McMurray. Stephen Stephen Padlow. Stephen Padlow chose Mrs. Levitsky to stole him tonight. There is always that one teacher that a student will look back at and remember for the rest of their lives, and that teacher is Mrs. Levitsky. Mrs. Levitsky has been right by Stephen's side since day one of high school and has remained there 4 years later. Beyond being his teacher and FBLA advisor, she is an encouraging mentor who is easy to talk to about anything, and he wouldn't be where he is today if it wasn't for her. Stephen Padlow and Mrs. Levitsky. Megan Pedrick. Megan chose Mr. Kelly as a mentor because he is an inspiration to her. Mr. Kelly always brought joy to her English class and could brighten anyone's day. Even after moving on from his class, she always knew she could stop in his room and talk to him if she was having a bad day or needed help with anything. He is someone whose wise words can brighten anyone's day, and Megan is grateful to have had him as one of her teachers. Megan Pedrick and Mr. Kelly. Taylor Pearson. Ever since Taylor had Mrs. Cecilia as a teacher, Taylor knew she would be someone not only to teach her about Spanish, but about life as well. Taylor grew close to Mrs. Cecilia throughout high school, as Taylor would rant to her problems during lunch. She was a mentor to Taylor and gave her many valuable lessons and words of encouragement. Of course, her favorite being, "It's not a diet, it's a lifestyle." Mrs. Cecilia's bright and happy personality is something Taylor believes more people should have, and a major contributing factor for why Taylor chose Mrs. Cecilia. Taylor Pearson and Mrs. Cecilia. Mary Petrowski. Mary chose Mrs. Knight to stole her because she loves working with her and creating ideas together for SGA. This has been Mary's first year to have Mrs. Knight in class and work closely with her on projects with the fellow SGA members. Within this year, even during a pandemic, Mrs. Knight has shown her how kind yet driven a person can be. She is compassionate in class and in meetings, and that means a lot to her. Mary knows that she will always care, and that is something she strives to be like one day. Mary Petrowski and Mrs. Knight. Devin Porch. Mrs. Gorman has a permanent home in Devon's heart. He sincerely wishes that she may understand the true scale of her positive impact on his life, self-esteem, and sense of ambition. He often reflects on words she has shared with him and remembers the image of her smile, calming assurance when he needs the support of a compassionate friend. Her relatability and humor is magnetic, and the knowledge she has passed on to Devon will stay with him indefinitely. Devin Porch and Ms. Gorman. Carly Pratt. Carly chose Coach K to stole her because she feels so truly lucky to have a teacher and coach that shows all of the care, understanding, compassion, and patience that Coach K does. Coach K expected Carly to succeed, and this motivated her to keep trying until she did. She has given Carly confidence that is priceless. Carly would like to thank Coach K for being the best teacher and coach she could ever ask for. Carly Pratt and Coach K. Thank you, and I'll now invite Mr. O'Brien to continue with the sewing.
Will Reed selected Mr. Keller, who unfortunately could not join us tonight, so Mr. Kaiser will step in to stole Will. Mr. Keller and his method of teaching has easily had the most positive impact on Will's high school experience. Although only having Mr. Keller for 2 classes during the last 4 years, with Honors U.S. History 1 sophomore year and AP Gov this year, Will can confidently say that he has been able to take away more from these 2 classes than all the others he has taken in high school. Mr. Keller's ability to keep class engaging, productive, and above all entertaining, as well as teaching the material in a way that is easily understandable for high schoolers, is something that Will finds to be incredibly beneficial. Paired with his comically sarcastic attitude and uncompromised drawing ability for depicting historical events on the whiteboard, Mr. Keller is a truly unique and amazing teacher, and Will has enjoyed every moment within his class. Next we have Colin Rachidi. Colin has chosen his AAU coach Ed Holloway to stole him. Over the many years of basketball training at a small church in Bridgeton, Colin has learned that it's not just about basketball. Through all the training and hard work on the court, Coach Ed has made sure that everyone keeps their eye out on their career paths and future. Since walking into the gym in 5th grade, Colin has learned many things that he will use for the rest of his life. Coach Ed has helped him achieve his dream of playing college basketball, and Colin could not thank him enough for helping to get his goal. Colin Rachidi. Next we have Seamus Riley. Seamus has chosen Miss Jenkins to stole him this evening. Throughout his high school years, Miss Jenkins has always been there to help in any way possible. Her door constantly remains open, and she always has a smiling face when you enter her office. Whether it was a piece of advice or a lifesaver mint, a trip to her office always brightened his day. Seamus Riley and Miss Jenkins. Next up we have Carly Sickler. Carly chose Miss Miller to stole her because of all that she has done for her throughout her high school career. She has gone above and beyond for the ag program and has taught Carly so many important life lessons. She was Carly's biggest supporter throughout high school, and she will surely miss seeing her every single day. Carly Sickler and Miss Miller. Next up we have Sydney Smith. Sydney has chosen Mr. Gunther, her choir director, to stole her for NHS due to the guidance he has offered her in leadership and musicianship. Mr. Gunther has been a person who has helped her with whatever she needed, whether it be preparing for a last-minute audition when there were never too few of, opening the door to new opportunities, and being completely and genuine when giving feedback. She admires the work and effort that Mr. Gunther puts in for all of his students, especially this year with the pandemic, to ensure that they all have a creative outlet. She's truly thankful for the years spent under Mr. Gunther that have shaped her into the musician she has become today. Sydney Smith and Mr. Gunther. Next up we have Evelyn Ferry. Evelyn chose Mrs. Knight to stole her because in her time at Woodstown High School, she has been her biggest mentor. Evelyn has had Mrs. Knight as a teacher for 2 years now, and her class is her favorite part of the day. She has also been Evelyn's mock trial coach and is currently her SGA advisor. She has shown Evelyn how to be caring, kind, and compassionate while encouraging her type A personality. Mrs. Knight has also inspired Evelyn to major in secondary education with a focus in political science and history. She wouldn't be the person she is today without her. Evelyn Ferry and Mrs. Knight. Next up we have Lizzie Sawala. Lizzie has chosen Mrs. Davis to stall her because she has always believed in her and pushed her to the fullest potential. As a junior, Mrs. Davis' pre-calculus class was the first math class that Lizzie had to put 110% effort into to see good results. Mrs. Davis had high expectations for her, and although that was a bit scary, she set those in place because she knew Lizzie had the potential to achieve more than she had in the past. Not only did she push Lizzie in class, but she was there for her through the highs and the lows. She has helped Lizzie to create opportunities both inside and outside of the classroom, and Lizzie is forever grateful to have such an amazing influence in her life. Lizzie Sawala and Mrs. Davis. Next up we have Colin Thomas. Colin chose Mrs. McMurray to stall him for many reasons, but mostly because she has always been there for him. Whether it's been editing his essays last minute, allowing him to eat lunch in her room, and even texting his mom without permission slips because she knew he would forget. Without Mrs. McMurray, Colin probably would not have made it through high school as well as he did. So for that, he is forever grateful for her. Colin Thomas and Mrs. McMurray. Next up, we have Tucci. Tara has chosen to have Mrs. Whitmore to stall her tonight. Tara has had Miss Whitmore since freshman year for French. Tara has always hated her language classes, so going into French her freshman year of high school, she was expecting a boring class. But this was not the case. Miss Whitmore's teaching abilities have her not only memorizing the vocabulary and grammar better, but it has made learning the language and culture more fun. She teaches through fun activities like projects and games, which keep everyone motivated, and it is a fun way to learn material. Tara is in French 4 this year and plans on taking the CLET exam before college, which will allow her to skip up to 3 years of French classes in college, and she will be able to graduate with a degree in French. Tara never planned to enjoy a language so much, however, now it is something she wishes to continue in the future. Tara Tucci and Miss Whitmore. Next up, we have Gracie Williams. Gracie chose Mrs. Sorbello to stall her because she inspires her every day to live life with a smile. Mrs. Sorbello's kindness never goes unnoticed, and she never fails to make a positive impact on Gracie's day. Gracie would like to thank Mrs. Sorbello for her continuous support in and out of the classroom. In the 2 years that Gracie has been in her class, she has taught her what it means to be passionate about science. Gracie hopes to one day be as passionate about her own career as Mrs. Sorbello is about teaching. Gracie Williams and Mrs. Sorbello. Next up, we have Emma Zimmerman. Emma Zimmerman has chosen Miss Foyle to stall her. Miss Foyle has been one of her favorite teachers, despite only having her freshman year. She was kind, outgoing, passionate, and has always made her day enjoyable. She truly aspires to be like her. Emma would like to thank Miss Foyle for making her first year at Woodstown memorable and having such a remarkable impact on her life. Emma Zimmerman and Miss Foyle. This concludes our senior stalling portion of the ceremony. I would now like to invite our officers back up to further discuss NHS principles and begin the junior induction portion of the ceremony.
My name is Sophie Vicennio, and I am the treasurer of the National Honor Society. As mentioned earlier, the four letters found at the base of the cornerstone represent the fundamental principles of the National Honor Society. The first principle is character. Good character is the combination of favorable qualities that distinguish a particular individual. In other words, how one acts and feels on issues such as morality and honesty help to make up one's character. We must remember that character is consistent behavior, demonstrating the highest standard of honesty, reliability, and fairness.
Thank you, Sophie. Hello, my name is Gracie Williams, and I'm the Secretary for National Honor Society. Our next principle is scholarship. Scholarship is the love of learning as well as the search for truth. Wisdom and understanding are the foundation, but what ultimately fuels scholarship is drive, curiosity, and enthusiasm. These National Honor Society members and inductees have all demonstrated that scholarship is essential to becoming a contributing member of society. They look to expand horizons and influence lives through the power of learning, thus showing the importance of scholarship.
Thank you, Gracie. Good evening. My name is Gigi Belisario, and I'm the Volunteer Event Coordinator of National Honor Society. The principle of service can be expressed in many ways, such as simply holding the door open for another or volunteering personal time at an animal shelter. The willingness to work without monetary compensation and without recognition for your effort is a quality of service. The National Honor Society seeks those committed to volunteering their time and abilities to help create a better tomorrow.
Thank you, Gigi. Our final principle is leadership. Leadership is another pillar of the National Honor Society. Leadership means assisting people in achieving their goals and encouraging the group to work together to obtain success. By taking initiative in class and school activities, a leader strives to train and uplift others to attain the same objective. To be a leader, a student must be confident in whatever he or she does. Those who are leaders are not afraid to take charge, nor are they intimidated by the thought of standing up for what they believe in. Being a true leader means one must possess the strength to make tough decisions while keeping the interests of everyone in mind. By far, the best leaders are those that lead by example.
The next portion of our program is dedicated to the induction of new members, and we thank you again for coming to our ceremony. We ask that you please hold your applause until all the new members have been inducted and cross the stage.
Owen Champney. I'll show you again now. Owen Champney. Grace Clark. Andrew Clemente. Grace Cole. Chloe Suzuki. Lydia DeHart. Caden Desiato. Megan Donahue. Riley Fulmer. Megan Hackett Slim. Abigail Heathwaite. Bailey Heil. Brian Hopp. Riley Jones. Christina Krishna. William McQuestion. Allison Petrin. Chase Prater. Lucas Prendergast. Kylie Resigliano. Ella Roberts. Taylor Sandy. Owen Smith. Dean Sorrentino. Leah Strauderman. Matthew Kelsey. Samuel Kelsey. John Turner. James Burton. Noah Tide. Sorry, no. This will all make sense in a minute. It's the big review. Ben Woodruff. Marissa Zimmerman. Robert Kinney. And our final inductee that could not attend tonight's ceremony that I would like to make sure I recognize is Nicholas Todd. Round of applause for our new members. I would now like to invite our president and vice president back up to recite the pledge with our juniors.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien, Mr. Kaiser, Mr. Senior, and Ms. Paventa. At this time, we will complete the induction with Lizzie and I leading the new members in reciting the National Honor Society pledge. Juniors, please speak loudly and begin on my read. I pledge to family, friends, and faculty, it is my honor to present the new members of the Woodstown High School chapter of the National Honor Society. Thank you to everyone for attending tonight's National Honor Society installation ceremony. On behalf of the members, we would like to thank each and every one of you for doing everything that you do for us. Also, we would like to thank our faculty advisors, Mr. O'Brien and Mr. Kaiser, along with Mr. Senior and Ms. Baventa, and our excellent grounds and maintenance staff for the large role they played in setting up tonight's ceremony and helping to make it a success.
This concludes our ceremony. We will allow pictures to be taken for 10 minutes only. Please exit as soon as you are done. Thank you very much and have a wonderful night.
Would our senior members please join the juniors on the stands for a quick group picture? Thank you.